good morning to our entire Victory family. So good to be with you this morning. We want to welcome everyone to part 2 of a message, a series called Victory in the Valley. Hope is the headline. If you missed part 1, you can find it online. Last week we learned that the greatest victories we can experience are in the valley. And so last week we learned that when you're in the valley, God is with us, God is bigger, and God is for us. Some powerful truths. Today we're going to look at another story in the Old Testament found in 1 Kings chapter 20. 1 Kings chapter 20. So I'm just going to ask you to turn to one place in your Bible this morning. In the Old Testament, turn to, if you've got a paper Bible, turn to 1 Kings chapter 20. Or if you're using a smart device, then click on 1 Kings 20. In 1 Kings 20 is a story of two kingdoms and a story of two topographical locations. The two kingdoms are the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Aram. Israel and Aram. The two topographical locations are hills and valleys. Hills and valleys. And I want you to see this in 1 Kings chapter 20. We're going to begin with verse 1, and we're going to jump around just a little bit, but you can follow along in your paper Bible. 1 Kings 20, verse 1. Now Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, mustered his entire army, accompanied by 32 kings with their horses and chariots. He went up and besieged Samaria and attacked it. He sent messengers into the city to Ahab, king of Israel, saying, "This is what Ben-Hadad says, your silver and your gold are mine, and the best of your wives and children are mine." Let's jump down to verse 19. And so the junior officers under the provincial commanders marched out of the city with the army behind them, and each one struck down his opponent. At that, the Arameans fled with the Israelites in hot pursuit. But Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, escaped on horseback with some of his horsemen. The king of Israel advanced and overpowered the horses and chariots and inflicted heavy losses on the Arameans. Let's jump down to verse 26, a few more verses. The next spring, Ben-Hadad mustered the Arameans and went up to Aphek to fight against Israel. When the Israelites were also mustered and given provisions, they marched out to meet them. The Israelites camped opposite them like two small flocks of goats, while the Arameans covered the countryside. Now this next verse, verse 28, is a key verse right here. The man of God came up and told the king of Israel, "This is what the Lord says. Because the Arameans think the Lord is a God of the hills and not a God of the valleys, I will deliver this vast army into your hands, and you will know that I am the Lord." For 7 days they camped opposite each other, and on the 7th day the battle was joined. The Israelites inflicted 100,000 casualties on the Aramean foot soldiers in one day. The rest of them escaped to the city of Aphek, where the wall collapsed on 27,000 of them, and Ben-Hadad fled to the city and hid in an inner room. We're told about King Ben-Hadad, this vicious tyrant king who gave his ultimatum to the king of Israel, and what he said to them was, "I'm going to take your families, I'm going to take your wives, I'm going to take your children, I'm going to take your gold and your silver, your finances." And then he goes on to say, "I'm not even going to stop there. I'm going to come into your homes, and if there's anything in your homes that brings pleasure, I'm going to take that too." This king, Ben-Hadad, has the characteristics of a thief, and it reminds me of how the Bible describes the enemy of our souls, the devil. In fact, in John chapter 10 and verse 10, here's what Jesus said about the enemy of our souls. He actually calls him a thief, and he says this, "The thief comes only to steal and to kill and to destroy. But I have come," Jesus said, "that they may have life and have it to the full." So this evil king who came and attacked Israel said, he starts off by saying, "I'm going to attack their economy, their finances. I'm going to attack their money. I'm going to attack their families, their children. I want your family." And then he says, "I want your marriages. I want husbands against wives, kids against their parents. I'm coming after your kids. I'm coming after your family. I want anything that brings pleasure in life. It's mine. And so the Bible goes on to say that he attacks Israel in the city of Samaria on the hilltops of Samaria. And so King Ben-Hadad brings his army, attacks Israel, and the attack failed miserably because Israel won the battle. So King Ben-Hadad, he goes back home kind of licking his wounds, and the Bible says that 6 months later, he comes up with a brand new strategy. He comes up with a strategy because he says this: their God is the God of the hills, but he's not the God of the valleys. And so he decides that he's going to come back and attack them once again to steal their families and hurt and take their marriages and their families and their homes and their children and attack their economy and their finances, because he says their God is the God of the hill, not the God of the valley. Now, we just read the story and we realize that God overheard King Ben-Hadad's comments about him not being a God of the valley, but only a God of the hill. And so God would speak to a prophet, and the prophet would come to the king of Israel and says, hey, the Lord your God wants you to know that he's going to give you a great victory in the valley, because your enemy thinks that God is only a God of the hills. He doesn't know that God is also Lord of the valley. And I want to talk about this for just a moment, because the truth is that all of us are in a proverbial valley. Now, what you've got to understand is that biblically speaking, that the mountaintops and the hills, those are the season in life when everything is going great, when everything is going wonderful, where everything is popping, things are happening, success and health and joy are the mountaintops, the hills in life. You have clarity, you can see further, you've got vision, things are going well. And the truth is, when we're in those mountaintop experiences, for many people, they thank God for those mountaintop experiences. They encounter his goodness and they love him. For others, they're just happy. Things in life are going well. But then the valleys represent the complete opposite of the hilltop experience. The valley are the low places in life. They're the places where you bottom out in life. Maybe it's your marriage, maybe it's your finances, maybe it's your health. Maybe it's a relational issue that you're having with your children or someone in your family or a close friend. The valley represents the dark days, the sad days, the days of not having clarity, the days of uncertainty, unknown, of fear, of panic, of anxiety. What's unique about what we're experiencing in this season, I know that for me, this is a once-in-a-lifetime deal for me. And what's unique about it is that we're all in the same storm together. We're all in the same valley. It's affecting all of us. What's sad to me is that while we're all in this same storm, this same pandemic together, that there were people already in a valley before the pandemic hit. There were people already suffering in their health, in their marriage, and in their life, with hope and with in their finances. But here we all are. I love what a pastor said this week. He said, we're all in the storm together, but we're not in the same boat. We're all in the storm together. Yes, we're all going through this storm together, but we're not all in the same boat. Some people are in a boat that's like a battleship. And yeah, they feel the waves, but you know what? They're getting along. They're moving forward. It's affecting them, but they're in a battleship. Other people, they're like in a kayak. They're just holding on for dear life. So no matter what boat you're navigating these waters in, no matter how dark this valley is, I've just stopped by to bring an encouraging word to you this morning and for all of us. And from what we've just read in 1 Kings 20, I want to give you three thoughts about how to survive a valley. And here's the first one. The first one is this: God is in the valley. God is in the valley. Listen to me, friend. God said, I'm not just king of the hill, I'm a Lord of the valley. Whenever King Ben-Hadad came and said, their God is only a God of the hills. He's not a God of the valley. I think God got upset and said, who does he think he is? He doesn't know me at all. You're not going to limit me and my people's lives just because they're not on top, and you're not going to limit me to just when everything's going good in their lives and when they're on top of the world. He said, I want you to know that I'm still God when they're in the low places in life. I'm still God when they're struggling. I'm still God when they're in the valley, when they're getting laid off, when they receive a bad report from the doctors. I'm still God. I'm God of the valley. When it seems like things are going in the wrong direction, I'm still God. I haven't left them. I haven't deserted them. I haven't abandoned them when they get into low places. I don't walk out on them because they're not winning right now. I'm not just king of the hill, I'm Lord of the valley. And so I want you to know that God is in this valley. God is in this shutdown. God is in this pandemic right now that we're going through. He's in it. In fact, Deuteronomy chapter 33 and verse 27, it says this, the eternal God is your refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. In the Hebrew, that word underneath it's taka, and here's what it means. It means bottom. One translation says, God is at the bottom. So friends, I'm here to tell you that God is not just the God of the hills. He's not just God, and he's not just good when everything is going great and when we're experiencing sunny days and everything is going well with our health and success and our families. No, my friend, listen to me. God is at the bottom. God is in the low places. God is in the valley. God is in the darkness. God is not afraid of the valley. He's not afraid of the darkness. He's not afraid of brokenness. He's not afraid of addiction. He's not afraid of hopelessness. God is in the valley. I'm here to tell you that the God of the Bible is a God that stoops down. He's the God that's not afraid of the darkness. Yet God never promised that we would not ever go through a valley. But he did promise that we don't have to go through a valley alone. God is in the valley. Listen, not only is God in the valley, but he's God in the valley. God is God in the valley. In fact, Nehemiah 13:2 says it like this. God can turn a curse into a blessing. Did you hear that? God can turn a curse into the blessing. In other words, God can turn it around. I believe that even right now, while many people are freaking out and many people are afraid, listen, those are natural emotions that people are experiencing in this moment. But I'm here to tell you that I serve a God that doesn't abandon people when they go into the low places of life. He doesn't run away from COVID-19. He doesn't run away from brokenness and addiction and sin and hopelessness and darkness. No, God is God in the valley, and he can turn it around. God shows us throughout his word that he's always reaching down and coming down to people's level. Listen, you've got a friend in low places. You've got a friend that sticks closer than a brother. You've got someone that's not afraid to stoop down and get his hands dirty and get his face dirty and touch you in your low place and touch you in the places where you're afraid, because God is God in the valley. In fact, God sending Jesus was one of the greatest ways that God showed us that God is a God that comes down. He stoops down. And I love what Psalms 18:35 says. Psalms 18:35, it says, you give me the shield of your salvation. Your right hand sustains me, and you stoop down to lift me up. Did you see that? That's the kind of God we serve. He's the kind of God that stoops down and goes into low places. That he's not just God when everything is going great and everything is going well. He's a God that's there. He's a God that's present. He's an ever-present help in times of trouble. He's not fair weather. God hasn't left us. God hasn't forsaken us, my friend. God is here, and he's here in this moment. So number one, God is in the valley. Here's the second thought I want to give to you today. Number two, this is not my destination. Because God is in the valley with me, this is not my destination. Now listen, this might be our situation, but it's not our destination. It's not our destination. This too will pass. I know that right now we don't see an end point to this. Depending on who you listen to, we're just around the corner from opening up restaurants and the world and the economy and all of those things. Some say that it's going to take weeks. Some say that it's going to take months. We don't know. The truth is that here's what we do have. We have uncertainty. We don't know. But here's what I do know. I know that this will come to an end. This is not a permanent season. It's a season. It's our current situation. But listen, friend, it's not our destination. I want you to know that God is God in the valley, and that this valley, this darkness, this moment is not our destination. Not just the pandemic. I want to encourage some of you watching right now that you're in a valley in your marriage. You're in a valley in your health. You're in a valley in your family, in your home, in life. In life, you have a sense of hopelessness. You've got no strength. You've got no rest. You're flooded with worry about the economy and about your future and your destiny. You've got brokenness on the inside of you. You've got hopelessness and fear and anxiety and stress. And that was before the pandemic. I'm here to encourage you today that doesn't have to be your final destination. That life doesn't have to end in brokenness. Life does not have to end in hopelessness and in bankruptcy and in separation. Life does not have to end with sickness and fear and worry and stress, because this is not your destination, friend. I love what Psalms 84 and verse 6. Verse 6 says, it actually talks about another valley. This valley is the valley of tears. Listen to what it says, Psalms 84:6. As they pass through the valley of Baka. Baka is a Hebrew word. When translated, it means tears. As they pass through the valley of tears, they make it a place of springs. I love the first part of that verse, because here's what the Bible says, is that you're passing through the valley of tears. Right now, what all of us are doing is we're passing through this valley. I don't know when the end is going to be, but I know that there is an end. I know that there's a finality to what all of us are experiencing right now. And so be encouraged that we're going through the valley. We didn't come to this valley to die in this valley, to give up in this valley, to throw in the towel in this valley, to be overcome in this valley. No, God is not just the God of the hills. He's the God of the valley. And this is not our destination. We're going through the valley. And I want you to get a picture for your life, and for your marriage, and for your family, and for your future, and for your destiny. I want you to get a picture of a preferred future. I want you to get a picture of hope. I want you to get a picture that no matter where you're at in life, that there's an end to the pain. There's an end to the suffering. There's a purpose and an end to whatever it is that you're going through. There's an end to the anxiety and the fear. And understand that God is in the valley. He's not deserted us. He's not quit on us. He's here in the valley. What's amazing about God is, listen, I experience God in the hilltop. I encounter Him on the mountain. But there's some things that I learn about God in the valley that I don't learn about Him when I'm on the mountaintop. There are facets of God that I learn about Him when I'm in the dark places, when I'm in the valley, things that He teaches me through it, because He uses everything. But I want to encourage you that you're going through the valley of tears. And the second part there, it says that as we go through the valley of tears, make it a place of springs. The King James Version of the Bible, I love the way it puts it. It says, they make it a well. They make it a well. The Valley of Baka, the Valley of Tears, what's interesting is that it was a dry, arid valley. And what the psalmist says in this verse is that as we're going through the dryness, the darkness of this valley, that as we're going through it, to make a well, to dig a hole in the ground, dig a hole as a container, dig a well, because that's what you do when you come into a dry season and a dry place in life. You dig a well. You dig a well. And so dig a hole as a container for what? For the presence and provisions of God. It's almost as if God is saying, in a valley, I want you to dig a hole in the ground by faith. I want you to dig a hole and believe me that I'm going to fill it with my presence and with my provision. I stopped by to encourage somebody this morning that God wants to, in this season, in this valley, if you activate your faith, if you make a space in your life, if you open up your heart, if you dig up the earth, the ground of your heart, and you make room for him, that even in this dark season, even in this desert place, God wants to fill that space in your life with his presence and with his provision. It's almost as if God is saying, if you dig it, I will fill it. If you show me your faith, I will show you my faithfulness. If you dig it, I will fill it. If you show me your faith, I'll show you my faithfulness. And listen, friends, I love the if promises of God. If you draw near to me, I will draw near to you. If you seek me, I will seek you. You will find me. If you show me your faith, I'll show you my faithfulness. If God be for us, who can be against us? If my people who are called by my name will pray, I'll heal their land. If you dig it, I will fill it. If you show me your faith, I'll show you my faithfulness. Right where you are, begin to create a space for God's presence, for God's provision. Because listen to me, friend, it will get better. It will get better. Because while you're waiting on your situation to get better, here's some encouragement. You get better. This situation, it's going to get better. But don't waste your waiting. Don't waste this season. You know, people are binging some crazy show on Netflix, King Tiger. How about we binge on King Jesus during this season? How about while we're waiting on our situation to get better, we become better? We make a space for his presence, for his provision. Hosea 2:15 in the New Living Translation, I love what it says. I will transform the valley of trouble into a gateway of hope. Because this is not our destination. This is not our destination. And here's the last thought I want to leave with you, my friend. Number 3. Find God in the valley. God is in the valley. This is not our final destination. But find God in the valley. Find him in the valley. Acts 17:27, last verse, we're going to read together. It says, God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him. But if you look at, though he is not far from any one of us. God did this so that they would seek him and find him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. Listen, friend, if you look to the world, you'll be distressed. If you look within, you'll be depressed. But if you look to Jesus, you'll find rest. Find God in the valley. Well, how do I do that, Pastor Juan? I want to talk to people who feel empty, people that are hurting, people that are broken. How do you find God in the valley? Listen, friend, you just simply turn. You turn. You turn from whatever it is that you've been giving your attention to, whatever it is that you've been turning to try to fill that emptiness and try to take away that pain and try to deal with that loneliness. You turn from those things and you turn to God. Turn to him. Turn to him. Who is God? Who is God? God is our strength when we're weak. God is our healer. God is our peace. He's our hope. He's our provider. God is Jesus, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. God died on a cross 2,000 years ago, and He carried the weight of your sin and my sin and the sin of the world when He died on that cross. He was buried in a borrowed tomb. On the third day, because of the power of God, He came back to life, defeating death, hell, and the grave. He now sits at the right hand of God. And this Jesus, the same Jesus that walked planet Earth 2,000 years ago and stooped down and touched lepers, touched crippled, touched hungry, touched lost, broken, hurting people, is alive and well today. And if you'd simply turn to Him and say, God, I need you. God isn't hiding from you. God isn't far from you. In fact, in the valley, I know it's difficult because in the valley it's dark. In the valley, you could barely see anything in front of you. But Jesus is the light of the world, and He shines brightest in the dark places. If that's you, friend, wherever you're watching from, turn your heart toward Jesus and say, Jesus, I need you today. Jesus, I heard that you're God in the valley, and I heard that this isn't my final destination. Help me to find you as I seek you. And as you do that, friend, right now where you are, open your heart to Jesus. Say, Jesus, come into my life. Step into my darkness. I'm in a low place. Come down and save me. I give my life to you. From this day forward, I will follow you. In Jesus' name, as you turn from your sin, as you turn to God, God will do a miracle in your life right now. He'll bring hope to the hopeless. In Jesus' name, we love you. God bless you. And we hope this message has encouraged you today. To all of our Victory family and even beyond, many of you that may be struggling, we want you to know that we're praying for you. Our healthcare workers, those of you that are working in the medical profession, our first responders, those of you that are still in grocery stores and department stores, still working outside of your home, families that are in homes. We love you. God bless you. And we hope to see you sooner than later. But we want to remind you today, for the Lord your God wins victory after victory and is always with you. He celebrates and sings because of you. And He will refresh your life with His love. God bless you. Have a great day. And we'll see you soon.